We all know that the first 60 days are the most important days in a customer journey with you. And chances are you have an onboarding that feels pretty good. But if you still find your customers feeling confused, not taking action, or leaving in the first 60 days, then you're going to want to pay attention to this episode because I'm going to break down for you the advanced strategy that is going to be a game changer when you think about redoing your onboarding process. You ever feel like your onboarding inside of your program isn't working? Like people are going through it, but they still are asking all of the questions that you answer inside of your onboarding, and that's all coming out inside of your support channel or inside of your community. Do you feel like people are confused? They are not really sure where to find things or what to do or when things are happening. Or maybe they're just not even making progress. They're not consuming, and you're losing a lot of people in those first 3 months of membership. Or people are never really getting started. Do you feel like they aren't completing onboarding? Maybe you're tracking it, which is definitely something I recommend. But you're looking and you're like, gosh, are they even going through this onboarding at this point? And those who are going through it are still confused. If you're experiencing these things, chances are that you're thinking about your onboarding all wrong. And although I give you a lot of strategies and tools and tactics around onboarding, this is the one thing that I think most people miss. And it's a higher level perspective that I just want to share with you. So this came up because I was working with a client and they wanted me to review their new onboarding emails and onboarding video scripts for a revised onboarding that they're working on for a newer membership that they've launched. They have a very successful one. They've launched the second one. They just scrappy launched it, and now we're making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before they head into another launch. And onboarding is the number one aspect of that outside of the launch itself. So here we are, we're working on it, and they share with me their emails, which are basically like, we're going to send these 10 emails over these 10 days or whatever, and here's the main topic. And then, we're going to have these videos or action steps inside of our orientation side of our members area. Okay, so those are really the two things that they were showing me. Now, if I had just looked at what they gave me at face value, which is what a lot of people do, they just look at it at face value, I would have looked at those and said, this is a really great plan. Maybe I would have had a couple tweaks here and there, but they used all my templates. So my clients and people inside of my group consulting program Retain, they get all of my templates for onboarding, failed payments, cancellation, member reactivation, activation, annual upgrades, all of that kind of stuff they get, like the email templates, the script outlines, all of that. So they're not starting from scratch. So by the time they take it and apply it to their business and put their voice in it and their content, it's pretty much ready to go, okay? But what is really important to do as you get to a higher level of leadership in a business, or for you as a CEO, or if you're a consultant like I am, it's to think strategically, to ask the questions that nobody is asking, and to stop taking things at just face value. So here's the thing. A list of emails that you're sending people or a list of videos that you're recording are really not a high-level strategy. That's really not where we should be starting. We shouldn't be starting with the template. We shouldn't be starting with the script. We shouldn't be starting with the email series. We should be zooming out to create a larger strategy, just like you would for a launch. For a launch, you would think about, what do we want people to believe at the end of this launch? What do we want them to have accomplished at the end of this launch? What do we want them to be thinking, feeling, doing at the end of this launch? And then you figure out the main thing that you're going to be teaching, right? And then you figure out how you're going to deliver that, and then how you're going to communicate about that and get people to show up. We want to treat our onboarding the exact same way. So when I looked at the emails and then I looked at the videos inside of the hub or the action steps inside of the members area, I realized that these two things were not in alignment. Okay, so the order was off. So the order of the things that we were asking them to do inside of the members area did not really align with the order of the emails. So that was one thing that was really obvious when I stopped siloing out the emails versus the videos, right? I looked at it as one thing. That was pretty obvious. But that's not as far as we want to take it. Because how do we now determine what the order should be for emails, or what the order should be for the orientation and the members area? We have to take a step back, and you need to look at the overall flow of what you want a member journey to look like. This is why I talk about member journey all the time with my clients, and why it's the focus of my Retain program. Member journey is so important because it gives you the full perspective of somebody's path inside of your membership. So when we did that and we looked at what was happening, I immediately noticed that the second step inside of their members area was immediately going to be a distraction. So the second step was for them to take this assessment, and then that assessment would basically point them to the content they needed to start consuming. But there were still like 4 more steps after that in orientation that she wanted them to complete. And immediately I'm like, whoa, wait, let me put myself in the perspective of a member. If I get in here and I watch this welcome video and then I take this assessment and that assessment tells me this is the work I need to be doing and it points me to that, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that work. I'm not going to circle back around and go back to orientation unless you absolutely tell me like it's all blocked on the website and there's nothing else that I can do. But for the most part, I'm not going to go back and like complete these other steps because I'm following a journey. I don't know that these other steps are important. I'm just following the breadcrumbs that you've left for me. And you took me to this assessment, I took it, and then the breadcrumb took me into the content, not into orientation. So immediately we could see that assessment was not in the right place in the orientation sequence. But taking it back even further, I want you to really think about the journey that you want somebody to be on when they join your membership. What are the things that they need to be thinking, feeling, and doing? We talk about this a lot, but we really need to make sure that we have mapped out what actions we want people to be taking in the first 30, 45 days of membership, regardless of the touch point. So at this point, we're not even talking about how we're communicating that action or anything. We're just talking about what we want them to do. We want them to sync the calendar. We want them to join the community. We want them to complete this assessment. We want them to watch this training video. We want them to download this PDF and use it or share this post in the group. Whatever that is, whatever that journey is, that's going to help them see some success and momentum, that's going to help them recognize I'm getting everything I paid for. This wasn't a scam, right? They said I was going to get this and this. Now I know how to get this and this, and I'm set up for success. Okay? Whatever that is, we map that out as the journey. And no, we don't put it all in email number 1. I've seen that where we literally put all of that in email number 1. But we map that out as the journey. And then we have to start asking ourselves, does this flow make sense? Right? Can I take them from this assessment back into orientation to join the group? Or if they join the group, right, they join that community platform too early, are they a lot less likely to complete this other step of syncing the calendar? Maybe. So maybe we need to get them to sync the calendar before we lose them inside of our Facebook group. So you take a step back, you put all of those steps in, then you start to order them based on what feels very logical. You start with things that are really quick and easy, but really essential, like syncing the calendar and watching a welcome video. And then you can move to things that maybe take a little bit more time once you have more buy-in and they've already seen some quick wins and they already feel set up for success and they already see that they're getting what they paid for, right? And then we want to make sure that we flow things really well. So if you have an assessment that's helping them determine what content they should be consuming, that shouldn't be coming until they've completed all of the basic orientation steps, because now this is the gateway into beginning the work and getting into the content, right? So once we have all of that outlined, now we ask ourselves, what communication channels are we using to get these things done? And it's never just one. It's never just we're going to send them these emails and it's going to happen. When you can, it's emails, text messages, it's Bonjoro videos. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video messaging guide. You can get it inside of our Community Creators Hub. Just go to communitycreatorshub.com. You get access for free. And I got a Bonjoro guide, a video messaging guide in there. It has a script for an onboarding video. So here's the thing. We're going to think about all of the ways that we can reach somebody who's a new member. We can reach them via text, maybe, email, video messenger, snail mail, logging into the hub. And once they get into that members area, that private members area, what do they see? What are they doing there? We could reach them via the thank you page, right? Once they purchase. And then we start asking ourselves what channel we're going to use for which thing. And that's how we build out our emails, right? That's how we build out our videos or our orientation inside of our hub. So I typically start with the hub flow because the most important thing for me is to get them logged in. And then once I get them logged in, I would like them to just sort of complete all of the steps inside of the hub and stay as connected to that as possible. So I start with that. And that's also the way for me to make the most connection, to do the most mindset work. So I start with that flow and experience first, and then I design the email sequence to support getting them through that sequence, right? The emails are prompts to support them and remind them of the action steps I want them to take on that onboarding flow that I've already outlined. And what I'm thinking about, right, is how do I eliminate buyer's remorse? I'm getting what I paid for. What do they need to be successful? What do they need to know? What do they need to have connected or set up in order to be successful? And then what's that order and progression? And then we can get into those other onboarding things that I always talk about, which is what do we want them thinking, feeling, doing? We want them to believe that this is possible, believe that it's possible for them to know their next step, right? Those are all things that they should be leaving onboarding feeling. But onboarding itself is not just a stack of emails and some videos in your hub. And we also have to ask ourselves, as we're layering in these different elements, we layer in an email or a text message or a video, we're asking ourselves the question of how do we keep their attention and momentum going? Because when I audit people's onboarding processes and I look at that, I can often find these little gaps where we lose their attention or we lose their momentum. And once you lose attention and once you lose a momentum, it is very hard to regain it. So even if you think you have a pretty stellar onboarding, I want you to go through it as if you are a member. And I want you to ask yourself the question of where did my attention drop? Where did my attention wane? Where do I feel like I have high momentum? Where do I feel like I have low momentum? And map that out to see if you can create more momentum moments and get better at keeping people's attention. So you're going to map out that high level flow. And then once you have that, you're going to come up with your communication strategy, which can be hub videos or steps, emails, text messages, posts inside of your community, personal outreach, snail mail. I don't care what it is, but it all needs to be based on what you're trying to accomplish in that main flow. You have to have the big picture first. So if you have an onboarding in place or an orientation in place and you're like, oh my goodness, I just don't feel like it's working. We're losing a lot of people in the first 30 days or the first 60 days. This is what I would encourage you to do as a team. Now, these are the kinds of things that I do when I have my strategy days with clients. Sometimes I do just one-off VIP days, if you will. I hate that they're called VIP days because you're all VIPs to me. But they're called VIP days, which means that we work together for a half a day or a day and we focus on accomplishing one specific thing. And a lot of people like to do onboarding audits with me. So we sit down, we audit your entire onboarding, we rethink the culture, all of the different elements that we need to have into place. And then at the end of our strategy time together, you are pretty much 90% done. You maybe have some videos to film, you've got some emails to upload, all of that kind of stuff, but we've worked together to map out this big picture onboarding flow and then outline all of the different communication elements. But you can do that. If you can't afford to do that with me or don't have the ability to do that with me for whatever reason, you can do that as a team. You have some smart people on your team, my guess is. So you can do this as well. But I just wanted to give you this high level advanced strategy, but that is so important and could be the very missing link that you need to improve your onboarding. Hey, if you are interested in having a strategy/VIP day with me to map out something like your onboarding, just shoot me an email or a message. You can go to shanalyn.com, SHANALYNN.com, and you can send me a message there, or you can send me a DM on Instagram at Shana Speaks with the word build, BUILD, and I can chat with you about that would look like. Or if you're interested in hopping into that program where you get access to all of my templates so that you're 80% of the way there already, then just again, shoot me an email, shoot me a message, and we can chat about what that looks like. I would love to be able to help you.